So the USA just lost to Uruguay in their last match of the Copa America, meaning they are officially out of the entire tournament and will not be moving on to the quarterfinals, and I absolutely have a lot of things to say about it. So leave a like on this video if you think that Gregg deserves to be sacked after this, because I do 100% think so myself. But first of all, this game itself, let's start by talking about the refereeing, which was absolutely horrendous. Copa America in general, this tournament has had some pretty terrible refereeing. I'm not going to use the word corrupt. In general, the refereeing has been very, very suspicious. Mexico game against Venezuela, Jamaica against Ecuador should have had some the penalty at the end, and then got a penalty unjustly called against them. The referee in this game was no better, and in fact, probably was much worse. This might have been the worst refereed game I've seen this entire tournament, and the USA were absolutely screwed over by the referee here, most notably for the Uruguay goal. Now, Copa America has much worse VAR technology compared to the Euros, which for the most part hasn't had many complaints around the world for its performance in that tournament itself, but Copa America has had some pretty shoddy calls, and this game in general was probably the worst VAR call I've seen in the entire group stage, and that was the goal for Uruguay, which was 100% offsides. There is a camera angle that it looks like the referees or VAR referees, whatever, did not look at and only used one particular camera and determined it to be onside, which it kind of looks like it in that camera angle that they may have used. It doesn't fully, truthfully, it could have gone either way, but in the other camera angle, it is very, very obvious that the Uruguay player was entirely offside. And that's only example number one of why the refereeing was so poor. Another example was when there was a yellow card called for, I think it was Chris Richards in the middle of the pitch, which was obviously a yellow card. It was very justified foul in order to stop the counterattack. And then Uruguay just continued to play on. And even though the ref was already calling the yellow card in that moment, Uruguay continued to play on, and the ref kind of just let it happen. If the yellow card is being drawn, the play has to stop. That is just literally basic rules of the game. If a yellow card is drawn, the play has to stop. The defense can get set up in what they were supposed to be doing in the first place, and then the attack has to wait and then be whistled into the play again. But Uruguay just chose to go forward, and all the referee did was put his hands up and was like, "Hey guys, let's not do that." But if there was a goal by Uruguay in that scenario, I do think that the referee would have let it happen. So that's just scenario number 2. And then scenario number 3 is going to be the entire rest of the game, where it was just insane calls, not for the USA. Tyler Adams was given a yellow card for a foul on him. He was stepped on with studs of another player onto his kind of ankle area, and he was given the yellow card instead of the Uruguay player. So what is the point of VAR? What is the point of video review if it's not going to matter in the overall calls and these things? And even when it is used, it's incorrect. It's literally wrong. Uruguay was unfairly given that goal, in my opinion. He was well offsides. Anybody with eyes, or just one eye, no, I was right. Anybody with just one eye at least could have seen that he was way offside, and that goal did not deserve to stand at all. But even despite that Uruguay goal, I know some people may be watching this and being like, well, the USA didn't score anyway. They would not have made it there anyway because Panama would be Bolivia, and that is entirely correct. USA did not score a goal. No matter how aggressive they looked in the beginning, how rough, how tough they were against CONMEBOL competition, who are known to be using those same parameters in their movement and game style overall, it didn't matter because there wasn't a goal done by the USA. The USA still, truthfully, in my opinion, didn't have a single good opportunity. They had a couple decent opportunities, but there was no big chance where they should have scored a goal, and they should have gone up 1-0, in my opinion. So, as a result, it's still down to the USA. The referee could have been even worse, and it still would be the USA's fault for not going through because they couldn't score a goal. And how much of that is down to the players and how much of that is down to Gregg, that remains to be seen. Personally, it's pretty even. One, I mentioned this earlier, Gregg should not be coach after this tournament. And within the next 24 hours, we should see a statement released by the U.S. men's national team saying that they have parted ways with Gregg or that he had enough shame to resign. If you really care about the growth of the soccer in this if you really care about the growth of soccer in this country, like he said before, if you want to create a new culture and a new identity for football in this country and become a true top 10 country in the world in terms of football, you cannot be at the helm as Gregg Berhalter. And as a result, if he really cares about all this stuff, he really needs to resign from his position and not be manager of his team anymore. Because regardless of how bad the players were in terms of setting up chances and creating goal scoring opportunities, Both here and last game, a lot of it is on the blame of them, but a lot of it is also Greg Berhalter, particularly in last game against Panama when they went down to 10 men. He did not set up the team correctly in a way where we still could beat Panama. USA, individual quality wise, should be able to still beat Panama or at least draw with 10 men. 100%. Panama should not be leaving this group right now. 100% Panama should not be leaving this group and should not be only one of two teams as of right now in CONCACAF that made it out of this group stage in this tournament in general. And the two teams who did not make it should not be Mexico and USA. But the USA, first of all, Tim Weah, if you're watching this, I know you're not, but Tim Weah, you desperately need to feel some sort of guilt. And I'm sorry, I know it was a spur of the moment kind of thing, but regardless of how much apologies you're going to say online and how many Instagram, Twitter posts, whatever you're going to make online, it's still your fault. I'm sorry. Tim Weah, if you didn't decide to punch the player in the back of the head, and obviously we don't know the full story, but if you didn't decide to commit that action to get the red card, the USA would be out of this group right now, and I can almost guarantee you that. This game should not have come down to this game, if that makes sense. The group should not have come down to this game, is what I meant to say. USA-Uruguay was supposed to be a game at the end of the group stage where you kind of evaluate where you are in relation to the rest of the competition, rest of the playing field, and maybe get that first or second place point or a spot. I'm sorry for the next the next stage, which is the quarterfinals of the Copa America. It should not have come down to this game, but unfortunately it did. That is the players and Gregg Berhalter's fault leading up into this game, not just this game, but I mean pretty much the Panama game. That is both on the players and Gregg's fault, but. Obviously, the manager is going to take the most slack in the beginning. He is the front man for whatever goes wrong for that club or country or team, whatever. And as a result, he is the one that does not deserve to be here any longer. So like I said, just to recap, yes, the players are at fault for not getting the job done in this group stage and for really embarrassing not only themselves but CONCACAF in general. But it is more on Gregg because Gregg still had a hand in setting the team up the way they did. And you know what? Props to him because I feel like he did set up the team correctly going into this game. He did correctly tell them to play very aggressive. Just show Uruguay that we were there. I'm sure you've fired pep talk before. And the players came out ready to play, and they were the better side in that first half that was, largely diminished because of the referee's decisions and calls in that half. So props to Gregg because he did do the correct thing here, in my opinion. But honestly, how much that is down to Gregg, not much different personally from what they have been doing in games past. It's just that they came out with a bigger fire, which is great and all, but fire is not good enough for the next World Cup, for the next 2 years until that World Cup. And then I'm going to use that to segue to what's next for the USMNT national team, which obviously is the 2026 World Cup. I mean, you have Gold Cup, you have Nations League. Great, so be it. USA are still the number one team in the region, personally. At least in relation to the rest of the region. Obviously, right now, you could say Canada has been the best team in this tournament in terms of, or I mean, honestly, even Panama. I don't know. No, Canada. Canada has probably been the best CONCACAF team in this tournament. So as a result, they are the best CONCACAF team. But the USA are still number one in the region. And as a result, you kind of don't, you should not be worrying about Nations League or Gold Cup as much as you should be focusing on the World Cup. And then as a result of the performance here in this tournament, I am much less comfortable and doubtless that they're going to perform well in the next World Cup, just because you're going to be playing similar opposition, if not and better, depending on who you on the stage you're in that tournament and your group and whatnot. But you couldn't get it done against Panama. You couldn't get it done against Uruguay. How high of an expectation do you have for the next World Cup? For me, it's not that high. Granted, there is we have like 2 years until then, so still a lot of time. A lot of things could change. A lot of things should change, which for me, obviously, is the manager, Gregg Berhalter. And depending on who we bring in, we might look a lot better by then. We might be better prepared. We might be more capable by then. But right now, if Gregg Berhalter is still at the helm for the next 2 years, I have absolutely zero faith that the USA will be able to take advantage of and capitalize on their golden generation, which, yes, people may clown USA fans for saying that, but it is the best team individual quality wise the USA has ever had in world football. So for them to have not accomplished anything, to not even gotten out of the group stage here, is absolutely embarrassing to say the least. Now, in comparison with Mexico, yes, Mexico didn't get out of the group stage either. USA fans clown Mexico, Mexico fans clown the USA. It's just the way the world works, death, taxes, and banter between two countries. But the difference between the USA and Mexico is that the USA had expectations here. By many going into this tournament, the USA were at the very least expected to get out of the group stage and maybe even into the semifinals and be the CONCACAF representation for the latter half of that tournament. As for Mexico, the expectation was to at least fight for a spot, get to get out of the group stage. It wasn't expected that they were going to, no matter what the sports books were saying. Mexico definitely were not expected to go farther than the USA, and they both went the exact same route in this tournament. So that's the relation with Mexico, and why I think USA deserves to hurt a little bit more is because there was an expectation for them to do a lot more than what they did and just crash out on the group stage, embarrassingly and distraughtly. And it was, yeah, I mean, there's not much more I can say besides all that. It's been horrendous. Gregg Berhalter definitely needs to either step down, be replaced, or just fired in general and then take your time. Honestly, I would much rather prefer BJ Callahan. Every time they switch the camera angle to that, to the touchline to look at Gregg Berhalter, BJ Callahan is telling him some piece of information or data that he obviously uses to change what's going on in the game, but that Gregg can't figure out by himself. BJ does a lot more and did a lot more in that little stretch of time he had as the USA manager, as interim manager when Gregg Berhalter was gone, and then of course he came back, and now look where we are in a spot where I should not be, where the USA should not be, where the other USA fans should not be. We should be celebrating tonight that we moved on past the group stage, but of course we're not. Of course it's done for us, and we just have to look onward and just say whatever, because that's all we can do. Until there's nothing we can do except boycott the damn team in case Gregg isn't sacked or fired or anything, whatever. He does not deserve to be at the helm of this club or this team. I'm sorry. And no matter how much that the players like him as a person, apparently he's a very good person to these players, not counting Gio Reyna. Apparently, he asks about wives and children and families and how they're doing and what their weekend plans are and whatever. I don't give a damn. Who cares if you can't manage these players to be successful? And the fact that the players are also in defense of him largely, who have come out and said, oh, he's a great guy, all this stuff, blah, blah, we love Gregg. Apparently they were a main reason why he stayed last time when they got a whole committee to determine who should be the next head of the U.S. men's national team. They all are in favor of him, and as a result, they are more so at fault for that than anything too. They're another reason that this team has yet to move forward. Some of these players came out before the tournament in interviews and press conferences and said that this is a learning experience, whatever. This is just preparation for the 2026 World Cup. But that is absolute bullshit for me. I mean, you should not be going into a tournament that you are hosting and you could do something good results-wise, and just say that, yeah, it's a learning experience and, whatever happens, happens. No. All these things led to the USA's downfall here. All these things are the reason why they did not make it past the group stage, and that Panama and Canada are the only CONCACAF representation as of right now, of course. I mean, the game's it's not all done, but still, Panama and Canada are probably going to be the only two CONCACAF representatives moving on into the quarterfinals of the Copa America. And even then, that's probably as far as they're going to go, because I don't see them going much farther. Really long rant. Really, I'm really short-winded now because of all that, but the USA should just be ashamed of themselves. Gregg should be ashamed of themselves. The players should not be smiling. No going to a hookah lounge or anything after this game like Weston McKennie did last game. You deserve to be upset. You deserve to be mad at yourselves, and nothing else but yourselves, Gregg Berhalter. There is no one to blame but the team here, regardless of how bad the refereeing was this game or last game. Yes, of course, the USA were 100% at a disadvantage for whatever was going on, but still, you as a player, you as a team, you as a squad did not make it out of this group. You could have changed that, no matter how bad you were affected by whatever was going on externally. That is on you. They should treat it as such, and the only way they're ever going to progress is that they treat it as such, or it's going to become an England-Gareth Southgate situation where they turn on the fans instead of on themselves and realize that, and think to themselves that they're not the ones at fault for their own results, despite them being the ones on the pitch in the game. Determining how far they're going to go in these tournaments, it's on them, not us. So you guys have to treat it as such. I'm going to stop the whole rant reaction video there because I could keep going if I really wanted to, but enough has been said. More will be said in the future as we do more videos on this Copa America, and I'm sure we might be doing reviewing the USA, Jamaica, Mexico, Canada's group stage, or tournament performance in general. So if that interests you, make sure to subscribe now and turn notifications on. But yeah, that's what I'm going to leave you guys with. I need to know your guys' your opinions down in the comments down below, because we read every single comment we get, and I know that a lot of you USA fans are going to agree with me. I know a lot of you Mexico or other CONCACAF fans are going to attempt to hate on me in the comments down below, but I don't care. It's fine. We're in the same spot. Who cares? You can say whatever you want. I'm gonna say it back. It's gonna be the same thing. Anyways, yeah. So if you guys want more content for Copa America in general, we're gonna have a lot more for you guys, regardless of who you support. So if you guys just want to watch us in general and cover everybody's favorite tournament, then make sure you subscribe down below and turn notifications on. And then of course, leave a like on the video if you think Gregg Berhalter deserves the sacking sometime soon, at least before the next 2026 World Cup. Yeah. So that's gonna be it for me, guys, and we'll see you guys later. Take care.